I forget what episode we're up to. Can you go to the YouTube?
Yeah.
If you go to Sydney West Martial Arts YouTube, you'll find a playlist called The Heat Locker. And if you check that out, you should be able to...
Sydney West Martial Arts. And then we go to a playlist called The Heat Locker.
Yep.
There are 13 videos, but episode
What was
25,
the last episode? 25, was it?
Yeah.
So this must be 26.
So this is 26. Looks like it. Yeah, 21, 22, 23. God, you go through quite a lot. You went through a real phase.
Yeah.
When did you do this one?
When I go to New York,
Yeah, you do loads.
I do loads because that's when I'm there with all the guys.
Yes. This is with Jason.
Yeah.
Jason Rao.
That was cool. That was in a Starbucks.
Ronan.
Oh, that was...
This was Skype.
That was during Corona.
Oh, okay.
So during Corona, when everyone was locked away, I just decided we'd try something.
It's a good time to do that.
Yeah. But the Skype ones aren't quite as good.
That was 5 months ago.
Yeah,
I'm honoured to be on this podcast.
Well, welcome to the Heat Locker officially.
Have I got the shittest jiu-jitsu skills on your podcast?
Well, let me think. I want to say everyone who's been on the podcast so far has been, if they're not a black belt, they've been someone who's as good as a black belt. So
that's a really nice, sweet way of saying
that's
yes, you have the shittest.
I'm trying to think because we've had Isaac Michelle, who's not a black belt but beats up black belts, including me. Oliver Tarza, who's a brown belt. Mm-hmm. I think other than that, everyone else is a black belt. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But welcome. You're our first blue belt. Yeah, you're our first blue belt.
That's cool.
I feel like everyone at least has had a jiu-jitsu belt. There's no one that's been on that's nothing.
It's
not nothing. You know,
you're meaningless.
They're just nothing, just scum. I hope this is coming through in both ears for everyone else. I think it will be. I wonder if it's going to be left and right for everyone else.
Nah, no way.
Okay. In our ears, we can hear it. Like I'm coming out of the left and she's coming in the right, but I'm hoping you guys at home can hear everything.
It's a small price to pay for the incredible bands you're about to hear.
Yeah, cool. Well, welcome, Shona.
Thank you.
So you're our first blue belt. You're also our first female on the podcast as well. We haven't had a girl on the podcast, so welcome.
Cool.
We're all about equality and women's rights and what are the other buzzwords? There should be other things I should be saying.
Inclusivity.
Diversity.
Diversity.
Yes.
I'm also the first brown female.
Yes. Yes. We don't see colour here, so I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm joking. Look, I don't care who it is. It makes no difference to me. But we'll have a chat today and go through some stuff. I think you're really interesting. So I've only known you for about a month or so now.
Yep.
But you came out here to train some jiu-jitsu with us, and you know I find you very fascinating. You're studying and doing different things. You're clearly driven and really competitive on the mat, but also driven in your personal life. And I want to kind of go through how you kind of got to all that and go from there. So I'll just ask questions, and if it's too much, you just tell me to hold up.
No,
but
cross all lines.
So it's Shona Vertue.
That's it. It's not a stage name.
Yeah,
I know, because you thought that when we first met, right? You sort of like, oh, is this your Instagram stage name?
Yeah, I mean, Vertue. It's like it seems like
no.
So what's the background on that name?
So it was my dad's name and it was my grandfather's name. So Vertue, it's a French name actually.
Oh, okay.
Vertu.
Is the word virtue a French word?
Well, it's a Latin word and then it's French. And so the spelling is Vertue. So we're not quite virtuous.
V-U-R, is that correct?
V-I-R instead of V-I-R.
Oh, is virtuous V-I-R?
Yeah. V-I-R-T-U-E is true virtue.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just, we're not quite truly virtuous.
Okay, so it's a French name.
Yeah, French name. So actually the name goes back to the graphic design, or not the graphic designer, because it wasn't so much digital obviously back then, but to the King of France, so that we have like French royalty in the fam, and then we have Viking blood in the family, and that's crazy. Yeah,
because you've got like a whole bunch of different mixes. So
a whole bunch of different
mixes. Talk to me. What are the backgrounds?
So on the other side, on my mum's side, it's Fijian, Indian, and we found out recently there's actually Jamaican too, because from India, the British took a whole bunch of people. When slavery was abolished, they took a whole bunch of people from India and were like, we'll call you indentured servants. Mm-hmm. And so instead of owning you for life, we'll own you for 7 years, which is...
That's reasonable. 7 years.
7 years.
Like an apprenticeship.
Yeah. But you'll speak no English and have no money by the time you finish. So the only thing is to sign off another 7 years of your life. So basically so the lineage kind of comes from there and then moves into Jamaica and then is in Jamaica for a while and then moves to Fiji. Maybe there's some from India to Fiji. We don't know.
But did you do 23andMe?
I did my 23andMe.
Yeah, we were talking
and
about
that's
this the
what it
other
says.
day.
Yeah, and that's literally what it says.
Yeah.
So we've got South Asian, we have Jamaican, we have Pacific Islander.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a interesting
and Australian,
mix.
obviously, as well.
Yeah, I mean, what's Australian? I often think about this, right? Like,
well, Australian's Indigenous, isn't it? Really?
yeah,
and then you have like the British.
But like, what's any culture? Because like, where do you draw the line of how far back you're going to go?
Yep.
Like,
yeah, we all come from the savannah.
like, where do you draw?
savannah.
Like, I suppose it just depends on what you see as where am I drawing the line of what I'm, classing as this is the area. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't get too caught up on it. No. But the 23andMe is good. I find it interesting.
I loved it.
It's interesting to see. And I think the other interesting thing with it is the genetic stuff that comes out of it.
Yes.
Like certain people are predispositioned to certain stuff depending on their genetics.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that sort of stuff can be cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Type 2 fibers, muscle fibers, things like that. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really looked into much of the science or how substantiated it is. Yeah. But I think the longer it goes on,
We've just got Isaac Michelle walking in the background. You guys can't see him. He's off the camera.
Pretty much naked.
Yeah, he refuses to wear clothes. I've had to speak to him about it. He just flat out refuses. He's walking around in a towel at the moment. But if you're lucky, he might do a flyby. But he's going to stay off the screen for now. Cool. So where were you born?
I was born here, Sydney.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're born in Sydney. Whereabouts in Sydney?
Born in Sydney. I was born at I think is it the Royal Alfred, Prince Alfred?
RPA.
RPA.
Yep.
Yeah, Royal Prince Alfred.
Yep.
Yeah, is that where you were born?
No.
Where were you born?
I was born in a crappy, shitty little town out west called Wellington. So people think Wellington is New
Sounds
Zealand.
really posh.
Yeah, it's not posh. It's definitely not posh. No, Wellington's a little town half an hour out of Dubbo. Dubbo's a town about 4 hours from here.
No way.
And it's a shithole. Yeah, it's not. And sorry to everyone from Dubbo that's listening and Wellington. But
Dubbo.
Yeah, it just used to be like a little country town. That's where my family was from. And I was born in Wellington Hospital. Yeah, so
there you go.
Not Flash like the Big Smoke from RPA. Yeah, and then we moved around and ended up in Sydney, years ago. But so you're very, sporty and athletic, and your kind of initial sport you went into was gymnastics. Is that the first one you went into?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah.
So my parents enrolled me into it was at Bunurong Gymnastics Centre. It's in like Maroubra or Mascot, and they enrolled me in there, and I went into like it's called Jumping Jelly Babies, and then they took me out of Jumping Jelly Babies, or the coaches were like, actually, let's take her out. And then I got put into the elite program. And so from there, I was training 20 hours a week and going back and forth to the AIS, the Australian Institute of Sport, to train and work towards the Olympics. I was too young for the Sydney 2000 Olympics, but was training rigorously. And then, then basically it was sort of handed to me was this choice of like, do you want to continue down this path? If you do, we'll have to stop school. We'll have to, literally live and breathe gymnastics. Or you can have a life and a childhood. And so I chose life.
So how old were you when you started?
When I started gymnastics?
Yes.
Like 4.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 4 years old.
And everybody says that's what you want to get your kids into. Like if you talk to anyone, they're basically like, especially like people say that's what the Russians do. It's like they're...
Yeah, my coaches were Russian and Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Geez, that would have been fun. They
intense.
sound like nice people.
I was saying this morning, like some of the shit
that'll make me seem nice.
Oh,
yeah.
you are nice. You're not. You are nice.
Don't tell anyone that. That's not the image I want to portray.
Okay, my bad.
I want to be portrayed as a horrible, nasty person. A Russian and a Chinese coach, yeah. They're not really always known. I mean, that's 2 relatively communist countries. Is that correct?
Yeah. Make for the best gymnasts.
Yeah.
/ spies.
Because they have to be.
Yeah.
So you were 4. So at 4, it's kind of playful stuff, right? It's like
exactly
kind of like we do with the little kids. Yeah,
exactly. It's the playful stuff, and then if they see that you have potential, like I'm sure it happens with jiu-jitsu. Like you must see kids that you're sort of like, all right, you're going to be doing this as a hobby for a while, and then some people you're like, you'll actually be really good.
Yeah, the tricky thing with the jiu-jitsu is it's not like there's an easy pathway where I can say to a parent, look, little Jimmy's showing some real promise. Bring him in 5 times this week, and then we'll get him in the Olympics. I mean, it's not even the Olympics.
Yeah, I know.
I nearly feel like it would be unfair of me to say that. Like, I can say to the parent, look, he's got a lot of talent, but I don't know how or what the progression would be if you had someone that wanted to dedicate. Like, would I say to someone, let's dedicate all his time in his life to making this happen? I mean, it's such a small percentage of people actually surviving on making money out of jiu-jitsu.
Well, I mean, we weren't making any, like, gymnasts don't make that much money either. But yes, when you have the Olympics involved, it's like there's clear sponsorships that can happen, and there's like government kind of stuff comes in. And so it's very different. I wish jiu-jitsu was in the Olympics. It'd be very different.
I've thought about that. I mean, they're trying to push it, but then then I suppose it is like what type of jiu-jitsu would be pushed into the Olympics? It would probably be
gi first.
It'd be gi federation stuff.
Yeah.
Which has no value to me or us. Sorry, people. So that would be what it would be, because that's what most people are training doing. But I mean, I suppose if all these other random sports can be in there, like there's some really like unusual ones.
Really
I'm pretty sure golf's now in the Olympics.
Yeah,
and a bunch of other things.
They're trying to bring skateboarding into the Olympics as well.
I've got a feeling it might even be in
skateboarding.
I think so.
Did it make it? Shit.
Maybe it's in for the next one. I mean, the Olympics didn't even get to happen because of Corona. So
yeah,
what are we? We're in 2020 now. This year's just been a complete write-off. The Olympics was supposed to be this year. Yeah, and now it's been postponed to next year. I mean, will it even
happen? And then that also shifts the whole... Oh, imagine being an athlete, like getting just... I can't even... It's 4 years of your life that you dedicate. And it's more than 4 years, but it's like 4 years on that cycle, like this macro cycle of ready to... that hurts.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Thomas, one of our guys here, who's trying to prepare to do the Olympic trials. And it was like, preparing for the trials, and the trials were like, we didn't know what was going to happen. He was supposed to go to Samoa. It didn't end, like Samoa was a no-go zone, and they're just on a holding pattern. Like you can't just train indefinitely and just hope that, that's how you break down. So yeah, I don't know what all the athletes will just be. Yeah. Hopefully this Corona stuff just kind of like sails away. I'm just kind of pretending like it's not there. That's my game plan with it, which seems to be working pretty well.
It's working.
Hopefully I don't get it. I don't know, work them. I heard Donald Trump's fine. Did you hear that? He got coronavirus?
He got coronavirus, but is he fine?
I don't know. That's just what the internet said. The internet doesn't lie.
That's always right.
Yeah. Okay, so you did Jumping Jelly Babies.
So Jumping Jelly Babies.
They said this girl's got talent.
Yes, and so then I got pulled into the elite program, and then it was like all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was full on. 20 hours a week. Then increasing, but it just got to the point where if you're doing 20 hours a week, like where does school fit in, where to friendships or everything. And my best apparatus was floor, so that was the easiest transition for me, or that my parents thought for me, was to actually go into dance, which I loved. So then I moved into dance, and I went to Newtown High School Performing Arts, and that was where I kept doing.
That's not NIDA, is it? No, that's not NIDA?
No, that's not NIDA. No, that's National Institute of Dramatic Arts.
Okay.
This was high school.
Right.
So I was still doing a little bit of gymnastics, but once you go from like an intense level to dabbling, it's really shitty for your head space. You see everyone that didn't quit just skyrocket in their ability, and then you're back here doing the same tricks, doing the same things over and over. So, it was... Yeah, it definitely changed for me. So then I moved into dance, and I was doing dance full time, and that was incredible. And yeah, I just like movement, fitness, this sort of stuff has just always been a part of my life.
It's the gymnastics stuff is really interesting to me because I've got a little girl and a little boy, or two little boys. Like, I think you can get boys into gymnastics as much as little girls. Like it doesn't,
for sure.
It's not just a girl thing. But
it's great for girls though.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the understanding spatial awareness and how to move your body and all that. I think that's all great. What I kind of don't like, for some reason I get caught up on the negative aspects of how it can become a little much with the coaching side of things where they expect a lot. I know that if you wanted to compete at a high level, a lot of them push on particular diet stuff. They don't want you to be over a certain weight. They want you to have a certain size. And then the other thing that I hate is kind of like sexualizing kids where they dress them in makeup, and like, is that part of it? Am I missing something here? Like, is that part of it, or can that not be? Can you kind of do it and that not be part of it?
I don't know that we were sexualized, but then I guess it's hard to answer. I mean, are gymnasts sexualized as a whole from society looking in? Possibly. I don't know whether it's like that's a part of the culture. I definitely didn't feel that was a part of the culture. The body stuff was never an issue for me. I never had any pressure from coaches. But my mum's fairly lean, like genetically, like it wasn't something that I ever had to be concerned with.
Yeah.
My dad
some
was
girls
really...
who like their they end up like with stunted issues with their what's the word? It's just
stunted growth.
Yeah, not growth, with their puberty. Like it gets pushed back, right?
Yeah, that can happen. Yeah, because if you're too lean, it does affect your fertility. So yeah, I did have when I was very young, we did get sat down to have a chat about, this may impact your fertility. And it's like you're sitting there like scary. Very young going, okay,
let's just go do some
well, totally
head springs.
But like even for all athletes at a young age, their whole focus, they live and breathe their sport. They love it. So to sit down and say to them like, hey, one day you might want to have kids, so you probably shouldn't take those steroids, or you probably shouldn't be so lean for this long, or you probably, it's like, you're like, oh, I'm doing this right now. It's hard to have the foresight to really consider that and consider what you might want to do later in life. And so that's definitely one of the things. But to be honest, I think these days it's a little bit more, I don't know, I want to say PC, which isn't the right word. I mean, it definitely, everything's more politically correct. But back in my old day, it was very much like the stuff that went down was, even just the way the coaches would handle you. It wasn't sexual, but it was just like,
move your body,
breaking you. Yeah, but like they,
like with stretching and stuff.
With stretching, like I'd have my leg up on a box that was like, I don't know, this big. For anyone that's not actually watching, like my hands are like almost a meter. What would you say? That's a meter?
Yeah,
meter apart. My front leg would be on the top, and then my back leg, and then they'd just come and grab your hips and slam them down to the ground, whether you're ready or not.
Really?
And so you just
Do you think
to
that causes? I mean, I've got to think that causes damage, doesn't it? Like if you're not that flexible.
Yeah, I think because your nervous system's pretty prime for that stuff. Like it's okay, and you're young. The time it causes injury is when you quit. And this was a big part of my journey, has been like learning to heal a lot of the sustained injuries that I had, because I didn't have any injuries while I was a gymnast. Like not one. I've had more injuries. Like look at this fucking pinky.
But you were
Jiu-Jitsu.
You were much younger, right? I mean,
I was much
younger.
You
get away with a lot when you're younger as well.
You can. That's true.
Yeah.
But like I had some bad falls.
How old were you when you stopped doing gymnastics?
I would have been about when I stopped doing it at that elite level, I would have been like 14, 15, but then stopping gymnastics.
Bulletproof up until then.
Yeah. But then I went into dance. And so dance was about exacerbating as much flexibility as you possibly could. And there wasn't enough emphasis
what type
on
of dance
strength.
Was it?
Ballet.
Yeah. I mean, that's another one of the extreme arts, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm all about the extreme.
Yeah. like apparently ballet is brutal.
Ballet's probably worse, I would say. Yeah. I would say, because you're not, now it's different. Again, now it's different. Now they because there's more money in the world, people put more money behind these things. They do more scientific research around how to keep people safe in these things. And it's about longevity. Whereas back in the day, it was like, just fucking pump them out, and it was like, just go hard. And that was
training methodologies weren't understood.
They weren't totally.
Anything, like we should get better over time. That you would like to think that's what we do pretty well.
Exactly. But nowadays I feel like there's prehab involved with things, like people are really putting an effort into, what about when Gordon was injured in his knee and he's like, they're doing Pilates classes, reformer stuff. Like that all was, that actually, Joseph Pilates, here's a handy fact, Joseph Pilates actually created Pilates to rehabilitate soldiers in the war. So that reformer machine that you see, your eyes glazing over, he's like... No,
I know exactly what you're talking
Luke
about.
just did an internal yawn.
No, not at all. I'll show you an actual visible yawn if I get to that point.
That's true. You wouldn't mask shit.
No. You'll know.
That's
You'll
true.
know.
All right. Okay, good. We're
keep
safe.
Going.
We're
Fire
safe,
away.
people. I'm going to keep
Pilates,
going. So
reformer.
Pilates, yeah, exactly. Joseph Pilates. So those springs that you see that they're like pulling down, that was what he used for resistance, right? But those were in the beds.
What are we talking, the 40s or like World War II? Or?
World War II.
Okay, yep.
So those springs he would use from the beds
Mhm.
that the soldiers were on to
Mhm.
create resistance so that they could slowly rehabilitate from like injuries, right?
Cool. Yeah.
So that then got taken into, I think it was the New York Ballet took that on as prehab and rehab for the ballerinas. Now it's used in so many different sports because what you're doing in Pilates is, and particularly reformer, this is not me saying everyone just go do Pilates because it's not necessarily the best exercise and not every studio will implement these sorts of fundamentals, but reformer Pilates sessions, particularly if you can afford private ones, you're working intricate stabilizing muscles, which are so beneficial when you get into extreme positions like in jiu-jitsu or dance or ballet or gymnastics, you know?
So, yeah, because there's kind of two different types of Pilates. There's the lay around on the floor Pilates, which people probably think of more closely to yoga. And then there's like with the reformer, right?
Yeah. And they both have their merit. Like, you know, mat Pilates is mostly focusing on your core and your glutes.
So the technical name is not lay around on the floor Pilates, it's mat Pilates. Okay.
I think we can call it. I think that's a better name.
Lay around on the floor Pilates.
Yeah. Sounds chill.
I'm sure people that do Pilates
would love that term.
The whole big Pilates base we've got that listen to this podcast are going to be particularly unhappy. We'll be on a Reddit stream in no time.
Definitely.
That's interesting. I didn't know that they'd use it for rehab like that, but that makes sense, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's lots of things that came about, you know, for medical that people have attached to sports. I was only talking to someone the other day. We were talking about testosterone replacement therapy, and they were talking about steroids, right? You know, there's this steroid that a whole bunch of people use as like the holy grail. It's sus 250, right? So it's a type of steroid that has 4 or 5 different esters, like different testosterones inside it. And you know, he's like a bodybuilder guy I was talking to, and I said, you actually know it was made for burns victims initially. So it was like people that were in, because they lose so much muscle mass, they can't move. They're like in a bad way. And they were using it, like they could give them, you know, a shot of this Sustanon 250 every 14 days. And because some were fast acting testosterones and some were slower acting, they could give them, you know, they weren't having to continually give them steroids, and they didn't sort of muck around with the endocrine system as much. So yeah, there's a lot of things that started, you know, medically, and then now we're kind of snatching them up for everything.
Totally.
Like, I mean, it's crazy that people are making. I still think it's crazy that I'm, you know, like surviving teaching jiu-jitsu. I still kind of pinch myself thinking, you know, this couldn't have been a thing 30 years ago. It was like not really, there wasn't martial arts coaches making a living. There's so many avenues now for us to, rather than the standard sort of direction people go with, you know, with life. It was always just you have to go and get a job doing, you know, XYZ. And now there's all these different little offshoots. And
do you think that's do you think that social media has helped to like spread the fame of it? Yeah,
I think so. Well, I think it's made there's avenues to reach everybody now that just wasn't there before. Like now, like, and then that's what I want to get into with you. Like you're obviously a very savvy business lady, because that side of things, I want to get into. I don't even know all that side of things, but it seems to be like you've got this really cool following of people, and you know, building that from nothing to actually like basically making it your job the same way I'm doing this as my job. Like you must pinch yourself sometimes as well. Think, geez, like it's. I don't like to use the word lucky, because lucky kind of says that we kind of fell into it. No, I never, probably you're the same.
Yeah.
Didn't fall into it. It was like a shitload of hard work to do this. And the reason everybody is not lucky is because most people either can't or won't put that amount of work in.
Yep.
It's not, so lucky's not the right word, but
it's kind of like the 10-year overnight success.
Yeah. People
it's like when people are like, oh, she's an overnight sensation. It's like, nah, I've been working for fucking 15 years.
I started as jelly babies when I was 4. Doing backflips. So anyway, so would you say to a parent, put your kid into gymnastics?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would 100% back it. I think provided you have a good, close relationship with your child and that you are an involved, active parent. My parents were very involved. My mom's super fit. My dad used to be super fit, but he was very much the person that was there, like prepping the meals for me. Like he used to, this is funny, he used to actually make me these, he'd call them like, he'd basically be like, it's basically a McDonald's thick shake, but it was not like that. It was 2 raw eggs and some Milo and some milk. I don't know. Shaken up. It's not for anyone that has had a thick shake.
You can't get it to kind of mix
No,
in.
it doesn't. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. So I drink it, and I'm like, this feels like I'm drinking
kind of chewing
oyster, and then chewing on some like chocolate every now and then. Milo on ice cream, however, that shit is great.
Yeah, but it's just not chocolate. Like, I just don't see why not have chocolate instead.
Yeah, but that's true. Because it was Milo and it had a picture of someone doing sport on the front.
It's kind of an unusual thing, Milo, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was sold to us.
Like it was a sporting supplement. It was a supplement.
Yeah, exactly. So it's different.
It was the protein powder of the 90s. Maybe.
It's true.
Yeah, it's like your parents thought, oh, you can have Milo, but you can't have some Nesquik.
You can't have Nesquik. No, Nesquik was a treat.
I wonder if there's less sugar in Milo.
Possibly.
My little boy likes having Milo. He thinks it's cool.
So good.
Yeah.
So
yes. Are your parents still together?
No. They split when I was about, this is another thing. They split when I was about 4 or 5. Like things started to get really intense. Yeah. So it was like mid-gymnastics, like then a divorce and a really tumultuous divorce as well.
That's how most of them go.
Right. Yeah. Which is why I'm studying psychology now because, when I was little, I remember sitting in this, I had to go to all this, for the court cases, I had to go to all these counselling sessions because it was part of what they were using to deliberate like where I should stay because they both fought for
they both
custody.
Wanted you, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had to sit through these counselling sessions and the counsellor was like, she was just terrible. She was a psychologist and I was like, I can see through all your questions. And I remember I was like, 4 or 5 years old just sitting there being like, I know why you're asking me this. I know, and so I can see the room. I know the day that I said I will become a psychologist and I will do a better job than these people. And
this is when
I was 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, that's it. And
Very
then
perceptive.
life kind of took over and I didn't end up going down that path until now, but.
So you've started that degree now?
Yeah.
How far into it? Is it still just
I'm a year in.
Awesome. That's so good. I think, like I said, there's so many avenues and sort of ways you could do university now. It's not just that you have to go in there and sit down every day and dedicate your whole time to it. I think more people should go and do degrees.
Yeah, I agree.
Follow their dreams and do stuff.
Totally.
I think I could be a doctor. That's how arrogant I am.
I reckon you could be too. A doctor of what? You mean a medical doctor?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't actually, I'm not like, I think you have to be really smart to be a doctor.
But that's the perception that we have. But really you can apply yourself to most things. I think so.
Yeah.
But then again, do you think everyone can be good at jiu-jitsu? Or do you think there are some people that have like specific talents?
There's certain people that have specific talents. He keeps parading back and forth with no clothes on behind the screen. Definitely
is it psychological or is it physical?
Yeah, it's a good question. Some people definitely have physical attributes that are the reason that they're super successful. Maybe they're super limber. Maybe they move fast. And it wouldn't just be for jiu-jitsu. That same person would have been a good athlete if they did gymnastics, if they, anything that requires athleticism, if they played football, if they, did soccer, like they probably would have carried over pretty well.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's certain physical attributes that are probably better for jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
But yeah, there's definitely just some people that just get it because there's plenty of smart guys.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people in jiu-jitsu who are just really smart.
Yeah.
They're clever guys. They're good at jiu-jitsu is just a bunch of problem solving really. Once you learn initially, the problem is that you've been provided with this problem, but you're not being given any tools on how to solve the problem. And you're not actually even being told what the problem is. And then you're just told to just go out there. That's what happens with most people. And they get like 3 or 4 years in and it gets a bit much, or even they do 10 years, but they just never really get that good. It's not until like each intricate problem is explained to you.
Yes.
What is it that you're trying to achieve? What is it your opponent's trying to achieve? And then here's some tools that we could solve that. So there's a lot of guys that get into that side of it. And with more information coming out nowadays, there's so many, like everyone's got an online tutorial. So, if you choose the right direction, you can learn from some really good athletes. If you choose the right direction, if you don't, you could learn a bunch of rubbish and spin your wheels. Yeah, which a lot of people do. But you can be that guy who really understands everything, but you get that super athlete. And maybe if he's a little bit smart, they're hard to deal with. Some people are just... I think John Danaher said to Isaac, he said he's got a God-given ability for grappling. Yeah. And I kind of agree with it. There's certain guys where you go, yeah, that guy's, there's something, I don't know how you quantify that. Like
that's what I want to study.
If we're going to try and gather those bits of DNA to remake another one of them, I couldn't tell you what markers we were looking for to create that. I don't know.
This is what I'd
Yeah.
love to study in psychology, actually. Studying performance psychology and sports psychology and trying to pinpoint what is it that's required. I mean, you'd have to narrow it down to sports to certain sports, because I don't think that you could narrow it down like just to athletes. I think it'd have to be sport dependent to like control more variables. But there's definitely a psychological quality that makes someone very good versus just sort of like average and learning the moves over time.
I think you're right there. No, you're definitely right. I think they have to be determined. They have to be committed. They have to be able to, there's not many things that you can be really good at if you don't commit.
Totally.
Like even if you're a good athlete,
yes, those are fundamentals.
That'll only get you so far.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then it becomes sport specific. Let's say sprinting.
Right.
And it's a relatively simple one to choose because you've just got to run fast. I mean, jiu-jitsu has so many different components to it that
exactly
it would be so difficult to pinpoint.
Yeah.
And then there's not one correct way to do it. Like I think with sprinting, there's a relatively correct way to run really fast.
Yes.
You start low. They build upright into a upright posture relatively quick, big long strides. There's a whole bunch of things that they've learned to do. I don't know sprinting, but so if we looked at Usain Bolt,
but he actually spends more. I think that the thing that they found was that he spends more time off the ground. I'm actually not.
He spends more time crouched because he's so tall. He takes him longer to get up.
Yeah,
I think is the thing. He's in that drive kind of lower. But again, I've only watched a couple of documentaries on sprinting. No. I'm not a professional. But if you were to look at him, you might go, look, we need fast twitch muscle fibers. If you were looking at him, you would also assume you need them to be relatively tall, which is actually would be a fallacy because most sprinters are probably, I think, in that shorter range than the taller range. I think he's about 6'4". I think he's 6'4". He's quite tall, but most other sprinters are probably like max out at 6 foot because they're more about being compact and fast. So I don't know, like the fastest guy in the world, you go, well, let's build it off him, but then everyone else is not that built.
Yeah, there's going to be variables. There's variables definitely on a physical level. But in jiu-jitsu, there's something just so interesting about how certain people are able to read in the same way maybe like chess, but it's like physical chess. I mean, I know it always gets described like that. It's like physical chess essentially. And how are people, like what makes someone really good at that? And you say problem solving. So potentially it's that, but I want to understand like what are they seeing? How is their brain working? Is it their brain? Is it a fusion of brain and body? Because not everyone's analytical in the way that they, do these things. Like some people approach jiu-jitsu in a really analytical way and they can break down every move that they did in a flow, in a roll. Then other people are like, oh, fuck, I didn't even realize I did that.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why there's not one right way to do it. So if we were to look at their brain, the way I do it would be different to how Ethan Thomas or Isaac do it. So that's why I often think to myself, how is it that we can take all those things into account and that I as a coach can replicate making a whole bunch of people good? So I think you're definitely going to look at the individual athletes and, there's going to be certain things that are going to be better for certain people. But every day I'm questioning myself on how I can do that better. Yeah. But I think definitely if you gear people up with a thorough understanding, I think as long as they're not a complete dummy, they can then do some problem solving themselves. So the likelihood of me, first of all, I don't know everything. Like none of us know everything I should say. I mean, the closest is John Danaher, who's got a pretty good understanding, but the amount of time that guy's put into understanding grappling and martial arts is more than, like, if you said to me, I'm gonna just study like Danaher does, I physically don't have that much time. Like John's a 50-year-old man now who's been doing that for maybe 25, 30 years. He doesn't have a family base around him, so he can dedicate more time. His time is at the gym or at home studying to go back to the gym. So I think that like he's like this certain enigma that is not easily replicated.
He's also a professor of philosophy, right? Yeah,
so he's very good at asking the why question.
Yes,
which I think is a big thing with this. Is not a lot of people have just learned jiu-jitsu of I just got taught this move and I just pair together these moves. It's just like a jigsaw puzzle. I just got given a few bits of but I think his big thing was those things are in play, but let's have a good look at the positions. Let's look at why the opponent is, let's say an escape the opponent's doing. How did he escape? Well, for instance, his elbow line came back across my center line. That's what took away the back exposure for me. So if I can come up with some sort of, if I understand that's my problem, now I can build a framework around, with a technique in solving that. And then it's just continual evolution of that. And that's why it's super cool. And that's why it wasn't really till I started training, with Danaher's method
Methodology,
that I kind of, it stuck. It made sense to me the way my brain works.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, if I can make sense of that, and I feel like I'm good at imparting knowledge to other people, if I can make real sense of that, then I can get them right, and then it just keeps going. And that's kind of where we're at. And that's clearly why we've got one of the best gyms in Australia, is because of that. And it's not because of my brain coming up with this stuff. It's my brain being explained by John Danaher's super brain, and then me kind of delegating that information out.
Right.
And that's what I mean. So you're going to get like certain athletes who are like a freak, where they have that physical ability, they move well, they just got, I keep using Isaac as an example, but he moves well. He did gymnastics as a kid. He's got this good body awareness. He's not weak. Like, he's got good strength. He's got good speed. All these things start to add up, just of all these attributes. And then if you can add good information downloaded into that, then that becomes...
Yeah, it's a good foundation.
Yeah, that becomes a nightmare for people. But yeah, as a coach, my job is also to take the bluebird who trains here 2 nights a week, who just enjoys some jiu-jitsu, and try and give them... I can't get them to be an Isaac Michelle or Nathan Thomas or Gordon Ryan, but I can get them to be better than what they are at the moment. And my job is to do that with however much time they're in front of me, to try and get as much out of them as I can.
Yeah.
Like, not just go, here's your standard stuff, I don't really care about your progression. For me, it's like, not only do I want to get everyone good, but as fast as possible. Yeah. And I think that's how you keep like a real desire for people to keep training too.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise it can get a bit much. Like, I think you should...
But that's what I like about it. I kind of like that it challenges you. It really challenges your ego to kind of push through those times where you have like back-to-back days of shitty roll, and then you might get one tiny roll. In like gambling, it's called or in like the psychology of gambling, it's called your intermittent invariable reward, and it's the most addictive thing to humans.
Okay.
And that's part of why I think jiu-jitsu is so addictive, is because you get one moment, like a fraction of a moment, where you might be good, or you might get a submission in, or you might, whatever, you get a good position even, or you escape a submission, and you're like, fuck yeah, and it feels so good. And then you lose, and then you're shitty for a bit, and then you're good again, and then something and so like this incremental but intermittent. It's incremental, but it'd be like 2 steps up and then maybe 5 steps down, right? Or not if you're some of the time, not like Isaac, it's just like this nice steady increase. But there's something so addictive about that fact that like you can step onto the mat and you don't know what's going to happen, but sometimes it's really good.
That's really interesting. I hadn't had it explained to me like that, but that makes a lot of sense. So our brain likes, obviously we like the reward factor, but you're saying if we got the reward over and over and over and over and over, it loses a little bit of its touch, as opposed to intermittent. Where's that next one coming from?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Which is where I often think about, like, how do the top guys stay motivated if they're constantly winning? How do they stay motivated? And then I think that's where ego plays a part. And anyway, I'm getting into psychology, but this is, ego can actually be beneficial, and it drives us forward because we want
ego's got a bad rep as being a dirty word. If used correctly, I mean, the very best people in most fields are kind of driven by that ego of really wanting to be brilliant and wanting to be really good. If you don't have that, it's not a bad thing, but you might just be more middle of the road, white bread. I think ego does get a bad rap. A good. I've learnt to, and this is me trying to learn to reel in my ego. This is me. This is a reformed me. A much younger Luke didn't understand. So I think confidence and ego are kind of like brother and sister. They're close and can be confused for each other. Arrogance probably also can slide in there as a cousin. I think they're all kind of, you know what I mean? They're all kind of similar. And people sometimes confuse people. They might confuse someone who's confident and then they brand them as arrogant or egotistical. Now, also some people just are being arrogant and egotistical. So it's like, I think it's important to like look inside yourself and realize which one am I being. Some are not so good all the time. And I remember, it's funny because school teachers nowadays, when they give reports to parents, they're watered down bullshit. Like,
Really?
they're not allowed to say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's a school teacher and they're not allowed to say anything.
Honest.
They're not actually allowed to be honest. Yeah, the comments are so vague. So even if the kid's a complete asshole, which is just some kids are just a complete asshole.
Yeah.
It's like, little Billy's trying to work on his, behavior or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I still remember my year 7 drama teacher. Her and I butted heads. I don't know what it was, but we must have had a similar thing. But she wasn't, and her comment in my report was, Luke is very egotistical. That's all she wrote. Nowadays you couldn't do that. It's funny to look back on. But I was probably just being an asshole too. I didn't know, I wasn't. I was still learning to be introspective and kind of look at yourself from the outside. So I was just like, I've got all these ideas, and then, I think we just butted heads. But so anyway, I think ego's good, but you've got to know how to use it in the right direction.
Yes,
I think
it's also necessary. I think, like being an athlete it is. There's an element of it that is egotistical in the sense that you have to dedicate every bit of energy to yourself and to your craft, right? To what you're doing, and you have to be focused and on just you. That's what it's about, right? Yeah. So every meal, every sleep, every relationship, everything is just focused in that direction. And the people around you are dedicating as much energy to your craft that believe in you as well. Like this is what I saw.
Generally, like a successful athlete is not. They're the tip of the iceberg, but there's generally
like a whole team underneath.
A fair bit underneath.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, to be honest, it's like with anyone that's super successful.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it's because they have, a bunch of people that are dedicating to that person. So it's just how it is. So yeah, if you don't have a sense of ego, if you don't have a sense of identity, and some kind of attachment to that identity, then it can be very difficult to stay motivated to push towards it. I think you have to see yourself as a winner, or you have to see yourself as striving forward, for sure. And
that's the thing with jiu-jitsu, right? Bring it back to jiu-jitsu. There's these guys who are the very best athletes, right? These are guys, if it was the NBA, if it was basketball, it's like comparing them to the, I don't know the basketball. Michael Jordan, right? He's an old school guy. Michael Jordan, right? Yeah. That guy's an absolute megastar. Mm-hmm. But we've got athletes with the same type of skill level, Gordon Ryan, Craig Jones, like they're the Michael Jordans of what we're doing.
Yes.
But they're having to do a seminar here and there to make some money, and they're doing all right. But it's kind of frustrating. Not frustrating. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. Yeah. Not whinging about it. I'm just saying it's frustrating that he's an athlete who they've just chosen this as their individual sport, but there's just not enough people watching it, or not enough ways to monetize it. Once it's, who knows? I mean, that's why
I feel it changing, Luke.
Well, these subversion events we're doing,
yes,
they're a way to showcase these guys. They're a way to put them in front of people. People want to consume media at the moment. I mean, people are on their phones all day. They're watching Netflix all day. People are ready to consume more stuff. Yeah. So, once people get to know these guys, and I don't know if it ever gets to a point where it's huge, but that'd be unbelievable.
It will, for sure.
Yeah.
It's got to hit mainstream. I think that the tricky part of jiu-jitsu is the fact that until you understand it just a little bit, it can be quite, you're like, what the fuck are these guys doing?
Yeah, it just looks like random cuddling. It's so...
Totally.
Yeah.
Whereas like with basketball, you can kind of go, okay, that guy's got to get into that hoop.
Yeah.
And so it's fair, not to like discredit the complexities of basketball.
How dare you? I don't
Sorry,
think
guys.
anyone watching this actually knows what basketball is anyway.
So I apologize. So sorry, Michael Jordan. I know he watches your podcast and listens. So,
I think he's the 3rd richest black person in the whole world.
Really?
I think so. I think that's a thing. I want to say it's a thing. Maybe the 2nd. He's got
that's insane.
He's got like $2 billion.
Maybe African American, but I can't not totally not.
Oh,
black
you reckon
person.
Be like some African prince somewhere with a little money or something?
There would be so much money.
Maybe African American.
African American, maybe. Yeah, I'd believe
Oprah's
that.
Number
Oprah's
one.
#1. Yeah,
I think so. If we had like a sound engineer in charge of our, we'd say
they'd be
Google
able to
that,
say Google it. Yeah, I know. Where's Bobby?
You can Google it. You got your phone. My phone's preoccupied. But anyway.
I'm fully present and locked
Good,
in.
good.
That's why I haven't touched it.
Great.
So, yeah, so what was I saying? I can't remember. Oh, basketball. So not to discredit basketball, but it's like I think a mainstream audience can appreciate it.
Yes.
With jiu-jitsu, what will take it to get big is for a mainstream audience to be able to understand parts of the game
That's the inherent problem.
or just like the athletes.
Mm.
And the two athletes at the top that you mentioned, they have relatively good followings for sure. And a lot of the guys at the top have
I think
relatively
you've got
good
more following than
followings.
both of them.
Do I?
I think so.
Yeah, but that's because what I create and what I put out there is mainstream. I can't remember how many. Yeah. He's got very engaged following and very like black and white following too. Like people follow him for hate.
Well, they don't even follow him for jiu-jitsu. He's just obnoxious. Yeah.
He's just obnoxious and they're like,
but it's fantastic.
What is he going to put up?
Yeah. Yeah, look, the only problem is, people, basketball, tennis, it's easy to understand. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to work it out.
No.
If we've got to educate everyone in the intricacies of jiu-jitsu, first of all, that's not how you necessarily gain a sport. But in saying that, the UFC had the same problem where people in the beginning kind of didn't get it. It was just this absolute brutal. There was only a few of us savages that were like, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the mainstream was kind of like, it's a bit much, I'll just watch some boxing or whatever. But then nowadays it's just accepted. It's like if you say to anyone, do you know what the UFC is? There's a good chance they probably understand at least what it is. So, but I don't know. The thing is, money's got to get put behind it for that to happen.
Yes.
And I don't know that jiu-jitsu, I don't know, unfortunately, whether it ever makes it out of just being a fringe sport as a hobby. I think it's going to continue to grow because everyone that does it, it's such a good lifestyle choice.
So good.
The way I see it, everyone has to train every day physically.
Yep.
All right. So every day you should physically get your heart rate up for probably at least an hour.
Yep.
This is the problem with society nowadays, is that most people are not doing that. And that's why we've got a bunch of unhealthy, unhappy, and then it affects your mental well-being, So jiu-jitsu seems to really hit that mark of not only the physical, you could get physical heart rate elevation running on a treadmill, but then you get a physical interaction with the other people because you need other people. You can't do jiu-jitsu by yourself.
Yes.
So there's that sort of
social connection, human
and the communal thing, like there's a community thing going on. There's a physical touch there, which I think there's something to
really
that,
important,
especially for people that maybe aren't around many other people.
Absolutely. Especially, I mean, that's super important.
Not in a sexual way. It's not a sexual thing at all. It's just like I think humans. I think we know that humans need that. I think humans left. Was you telling me about babies left untouched will die?
Yeah, they die.
Yeah,
it's crazy. We need touch.
Yeah.
So I mean the difference is it's a slightly more violent touch, but it is
slightly more violent. You should not do the things we do in jiu-jitsu to your baby. I've tried heel hooking my kids. Their heels are too small. I can't do it. I can't get the leverage point above their knee. You can't do it.
Yeah,
I've tried. And then there's the mental, the pushing yourself mentally to learn something. And that's the other thing. As an adult, a lot of people leave school and then they don't really learn more stuff. Some people never learn more stuff. How many people, I don't really have to spend a lot of time with people I went to school with. Like a lot of people, their Facebook page is filled with all the people from high school, but it's like you don't even know them anymore. That you knew them as a 15-year-old, but but then some of these people are the same person they were when they were a 15-year-old. There's some people just don't have that growth. And I feel like, I'm not saying jiu-jitsu solves everything, but I think it causes you to kind of keep learning how to learn.
Yeah.
That put yourself in awkward, uncomfortable situations. Like even
and
people
that builds resilience.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think as a society as a whole we're losing, because while I'm for inclusivity and those things that we were discussing before, I really am. I also think that this culture that we have of getting offended very easily is problematic because we're unable then to have a conversation and grow and learn through differing of opinions. So jiu-jitsu, there's no time for differing opinions. It's like you either win or you don't. But if you are put into a position where you're uncomfortable, your ego's challenged and your body's challenged, like that's going to build resilience in you that I think really translates on a psychological level, 100%. And I think this is important for society. I don't want to sound like one of those like born again jiu-jitsu Christians, which is what I sound like.
Yeah.
But I am one of those people that's like, nah. Everyone, jiu-jitsu for everyone. Even if you're going to be a bit shit at it, it's fine.
So you, to come to your jiu-jitsu
My very
I was going to say
jiu-jitsu
career,
journey.
but it's not. I don't think career is the right word.
It's definitely not.
Yeah, very short. So you did dancing. You moved into ballet,
Yes.
and then
So it was ballet,
how did you
modern,
find jiu-jitsu?
Oh, that was many, 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 many years later. So I found jiu-jitsu honestly because I was sort of looking for a martial art that I wanted to get into, and I was like, I really, I'm not sure. And I didn't
Was it for self-defense? Is that what it was? Or
No, I did not come into it for self-defense. I was sort of just looking for something that was deeper than, I've been weight training for many, many years now. Like, what was I? I was 18 when I probably started weight training. So, it's jiu-jitsu, I guess I came to because I wanted a martial art, but I didn't love striking.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried some kickboxing, and I was sort of like, I got kicked in the head and I started crying.
Yeah, I mean, that's not nice to get kicked in the head, is it? No one would.
I couldn't stop the tears though. I was like, this is terrible. I'm not very tough. But I just didn't love it. I was like, you know what? And so I watched a few grappling matches and was like, I think I want to get into this. And then like 2 weeks later, oddly, I got into a relationship with a guy that was into jiu-jitsu.
Easy.
And I was like, but it wasn't, we didn't meet that way. I hadn't started jiu-jitsu. It was like, we'd met like through Instagram and started hanging out, and he was like, what are you into? And I was like, I really want to get into jiu-jitsu. He was like, no way, I do it. And so he was like, come down. And my first session, I didn't do it with him there. I did it just randomly, enrolled myself in a class, and it was terrible because this was one of the things that I was like, they just kind of throw you in and you're like sitting there going,
yep,
what the fuck do I do? I don't understand the point of any of this. And I was lucky enough to have a blue belt there. She was very lovely, and she was like, all right, I'm just going to coach you through some of the basics, like some of the fundamentals of what you need to know. And I absolutely loved that session. And so I was pretty much hooked from first roll. Like, love a first roll.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. But then there's that roll that you have that almost makes you want to quit. Do you remember that?
No. I never, but I'm notoriously stubborn. So
right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just always enjoyed it. Every time I wrestled, I enjoyed it. I had a good feeling, and I still to this day. We just trained this morning. I have even more fun now because I have a better understanding. I'm better at it.
Yeah,
I can do it. I can do it without maximum output. So a lot of people with jiu-jitsu, it's like they got to build them. It's like I got to be feeling good. It's like, I'm going to come in. It's going to be like, it's hard. It's like this battle. And the lower your skill level is, you've got to kind of make up for the, for the balance the other way with just athleticism or strength or aggression. Or
a mindset that's okay with being beat.
Well,
which is hard.
Yeah, that is hard.
Right.
So nowadays, as I've got more skills at my disposal, unless I'm going with one of these guys that's really good, I can pretty much kind of drop the intensity back and still have a great session. So I find I can do it more often. I can do it for longer. Like, I'm 35 this year, and I still feel fantastic. And it's it's funny. I didn't have that role that I ever had when I felt like I wanted to quit, but I'm notoriously stubborn too. Like, I don't do things. I generally don't do things. I'm not someone who starts like 25 different things and
no.
I stick with something.
You stick with something.
Yeah, that's just me.
Well, that was me, and I feel like when I started jiu-jitsu, it was because I wanted to get to something. I wanted something to be in my life that was at a mastery level, that was like physical mastery, obviously psychological mastery too, but like, and when I had this one role that I was just like, fuck. I was so angry at myself and I have them. I do still have them. They don't make me want to quit. In fact, if I ever get that feeling of like, oh my God, I'm so shit, it actually just makes me want to do better. So it's fine. But when I had that first role, I was so angry, and I called my boyfriend at the time, and I was like, can you just explain to me a little bit more about this? And so we had a role. I was like back in there, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get this. But for women, it's like, it's a funny thing.
So much
like,
harder for you guys. It's a different thing.
It's a different thing because it's like there's a few things that you're up against. You're obviously like, I don't feel uncomfortable rolling with guys. Like, that doesn't bother me. That's not the issue. I've been in gyms for so long. That whole male culture is fine. It's more just sort of, sometimes it can be hard to practice techniques with someone that's like 30, 40 kilos heavier than you, just because they'll just like slam.
No, it's impossible. It's actually basically impossible.
Right. And so then you're like trying to kind of wiggle your way through to get it done. And then when you roll, we've talked about this before, there's sort of some girls, not all girls, because I am all about girls getting on the mat. So like, let's all just do it and be great. But the aggression level sometimes.
Girls are the nastiest. It's so nasty.
I don't know what that is because I'm
I
trying
don't
to
mean
figure
that in
out.
a negative way. I mean like just the aggression and the intensity. You watch girls in competition and it's so much nastier and like higher intensity and higher pace. And
Freud would say it was penis envy.
Yeah, is
like
that what it is?
Penis envy, aggression coming out. I don't know what it is. I'm going to get slammed.
I've seen Isaac in the shower. I've got penis envy. He refuses to close the doors. I understand penis envy well. I understand.
So I think there's a few things. I think that perhaps there's been this maybe girls that get into jiu-jitsu or martial arts in general maybe have a little bit more aggression in general that they're trying to find an avenue for. I personally think that jiu-jitsu is a great place to channel that sort of energy. You just have to try and channel it rather than like just explode it, right? But I also think that maybe it's, I don't know.
Well, we spoke about it. My philosophy on that is that it's already it's a male-dominated thing. It's a martial art. It's a combat art. It's a fighting art, and I think that there's a small amount of women that come into it, and then so that's a small cross section of women in society anyway. Generally, women are more nurturing, and that's just how women are.
Yeah,
and maybe that small subsection that decide to do something like this are the ones that are a little more fiery and more aggressive, and that's why we see that. Maybe they're towards the end of the chicks that are going to be more fiery and aggressive, and that could be what leads to it. It's not just we've just got a random cross section of girls. Generally, there's probably attracting a certain style,
certain type,
maybe.
But like that's not, it's funny. It's not why I do it. Like I love it because it's a complex game. That's why I like doing it, and I like that I can find a way to use my body. I love the this intimate invariable reward. I like the fact that it's with gymnastics. I took it to a level that was a very high level, but it was always just me. Whereas you put someone else in there with me, and I can't predict what that person's going to do, or I can try to.
Gymnastics is just against the apparatus, right?
It's just me and the apparatus, so all the responsibility is down to me. So it's relatively safe. If I fuck up, it's my fault. It's not. But if I fuck up with someone else, it's still my fault. But it's just that it's like this other variable that just messes with you.
Yeah, I feel like for competition that would be, in gymnastics, the pressure would go onto yourself. But, when I compete in jiu-jitsu, I'm also considering this other savage wants to break my legs off. Like what's his plans? What's it like?
Yeah.
Whereas I wouldn't have that in golf.
No, you don't.
I'm not worried about the ball hurting me. I'm like, if I hit it bad, it's my fault. Then it's a different thing.
Yeah, and it's repetition too.
Team sports down the line even further. It's like, oh, now I can just carry the load across the team, even though you can put responsibility on yourself. I think mentally it becomes a little easier when if I'm switched off for a moment, old mate next to me is gonna, have me covered.
Yeah,
and that dynamic's very interesting.
Super
and that's what I don't make people compete. If people don't want to compete, I'm totally cool with that. Totally cool with that. Like, don't make anyone compete.
Yeah.
Like, when people say they want to, I'm like, I really question them because I don't want them to. Competition can be stressful.
Yeah.
You can get injured because people are going crazy, and but I do say to people, I think it's really good if you decide you want to do that. You're probably not going to regret it. It's going to test you. It's like anything. It's like going on a roller coaster. Like you're standing in the line and you're fucking freaking out. You're like, oh, I don't really want to do this. And I think when you make yourself do something like that gives you that fight or flight response, which a jiu-jitsu match definitely does that. I think there's a huge overcoming of that. Even no matter whether you win or lose, like it actually doesn't. You still get that same.
You still get the same thing.
You get the same response.
Yeah, totally.
So the competition aspect is also interesting. People.
What do you say to girls that want to compete? Because I've said it to you before, and you're like, make sure you really want to.
Make sure you really want to. Yeah. So
same thing. You'd say the same thing.
Yeah. If you say to me you really want to.
Yeah.
And then I'll explain to you. It's not going to be like in the training room. She's going to be really full on, and
she's basically going to hit you because it seems like all the girls.
It does seem a bit like that.
Literally are in the UFC cage.
Yeah, and I don't do that to scare people. I do it so that at least you understand what you're getting. Because what I don't want is this thing that people fall in love with, they fall in love out of, they fall out of
Fall
love a
with
little
it. Yeah.
because it's just this really intense thing that just was too much.
And then you just stop competing, right? And you just still get to have fun on the
Some
mats.
people do that, yeah. For some people, but it can just make them feel a
Change
little
it.
bit. It can change a little bit for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just say to people, there's no pressure, but but most people compete, and it's like that roller coaster. You get off it, and they go, "I want to do it again. Like I want to do it again."
Yeah.
And it's funny because if you put them straight onto that next match, they're cool. Like you've only got half the nerves that you had before the first match, and then if it's a tournament and there's another few matches, it's like it gets less. But then if you wait 2 months, it kind of builds up again. And
for sure.
But it definitely, I think it's a good thing for people. I think it molds you into a, I don't know if better person's the right word to say, but it's definitely a good thing. Like
definitely a better athlete for sure, right?
Definitely, well, just a better person. I think you can deal with. You can deal like life is difficult. There's difficult shit we do in life. If someone that's had a few jiu-jitsu competitions goes to get a job and they've got this job interview they're super nervous about, they might be able to draw some of the skills they learned from competing into dealing. It's the same thing. Your body's treating it the same way as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Like I've had big interviews. I used to work for a government department, and it was a lot of quite a strict interviewing process when we'd go for jobs, and I remember being nervous like it was a jiu-jitsu match. Like I'm like, I want to make sure I get this right. It's on me. I'm going in front of these people. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of fight or flight response.
And I think we need to put ourselves into that as human beings on a more acute level than we do on a chronic level. So like if we look at the nervous system, we've got two sides to the nervous system. I know you know this, I'm just explaining this for anyone that doesn't know. So the fight or flight thing that you keep referring to is your sympathetic aspect of the nervous system, and then your parasympathetic, or rest and digest. Some people call it feed and breed. That's your more chill side. So what we have a problem in society with now is chronic elevated levels of stress. And this chronic elevation of all the stress hormones is what's making us really, really sick over time. But it's actually been proven that acute stimulation, so acute being kind of sharp, so as in you have a really intense bout of stress, that's what our nervous system was evolved to be able to handle, right? Mm-hmm. The saber-toothed tiger, everyone hears that story, comes in, you fight or you flight. You
did
leave
we
the
fight
situation.
saber-toothed? Did we fight them?
Well, that's what everyone says.
Yeah, but I wonder, were they around at the same time as us? I don't actually know that.
I think Isaac could have fought a saber-tooth.
He would have. He would have been mates with it. It would have come to Eden. He would have been like, fuck, he's a good guy.
He's so good. He's such a good guy.
I'm not going to eat him.
Eat me.
Yeah, just eat me. I'll lay down. Here, just cuddle up in my fur. You'll be warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. But what you're saying is exactly right. Yeah,
and so
exactly
I think that part of what drew me to jiu-jitsu as well was that I was going to get that fight or flight response, build the resilience in a way that was still, jiu-jitsu for me has made me so, I've been training for a long time, not training jiu-jitsu, lifting and just doing movement and exercise for a long time, right? And so I'm always finding ways to maintain that motivation, and jiu-jitsu is oh fuck, that's all the motivation I need to keep my joints healthy. There's no end.
You don't finish it. You don't go, I've finished it. That's why when people quit, it just shocks me. When people train for a couple of years, they get a blue belt and they quit. I'm like, I just don't get it. I'm like, I thought you understood all the positives, and then sometimes you see those people, they come back in 6 months and they're packed on 15 kilos and they're miserable, and you're like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have anything to fill this void, which was providing you with the mental stimulation, the other things we're talking about, and the fitness benefits, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could somehow have everyone understand that. That's something. One is that it's not an option. People think fitness is this, it's a choice. They think you and I are just, they're fitness fanatics. That's what they do. That's their thing. My thing, I like baking cakes and whatever.
Right.
It's not a choice. Unfortunately, we've all got the same meat sacks as bodies,
exactly.
and they need to be burning calories more than just sitting on the lounge at a metabolic rate of cruising. That's not how it works.
Exactly. And with the development of these hyper palatable foods that we have all around us in this easy to access kind of way,
more calorie dense than anything else.
More calorie dense, super tasty. They are engineered to really make us salivate and dream about them when we're not eating them.
And now you don't even have to leave your house to get them.
No, You don't have to get off the fucking couch.
You don't even have to talk to someone.
No.
You just type it in your phone and they bring it to you.
Yeah.
No wonder
Like
people are
zero
getting so
social. Yeah, but not just that. It's also that people are unhappy and lonely because we're on our phones as well, you know, and it's like there's no connection. Like there's something so beautiful about cooking dinner and having, you know, and like interacting with your food, interacting with people around you that you're eating, like all these things. I mean, it's just we're devolving.
Some of us are.
ways.
Some of us are.
Yes.
And that's why, you know, that's why I think to myself, you know, we're all running in this race. If everyone else wants to be a couple of kilometers behind the race, you know, there's only some. What are you gonna do? You can't drag. You can try to give people the knowledge, but people have to do it themselves, and it's not difficult. And this is what I say to everyone: it's actually not that difficult, but you have to have routines. We deal really well with routines. You have to make first of all, it's got to be a healthy routine. A lot of people have routines, but they're unhealthy routines. You know, the routine is I go to work, I do a job that's probably not overly healthy for me. You know, it's digging a hole, it's shitty hours, it's whatever. It's not mentally stimulating. It's around other people who are miserable too. Anyway, I go and do that, and I do that for 40 hours of my week. So out of my waking time each day, I do that for at least 8 hours. Plus, I might probably travel. Maybe it's 10 hours. So it doesn't leave a lot of extra time either side. Then you go home, you know, you watch some rubbish TV pump that into your brain, generally eat some rubbish food, drink some alcohol, whatever, go to sleep, repeat. There's no wonder some of these people are miserable. But people need to set healthy routines. Like people say to me, I haven't got time to do jiu-jitsu. I'm like, jiu-jitsu is ticking a lot of boxes for you.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to make time for this.
Yeah.
You don't have to make time for jiu-jitsu, but you have to make time for your mental health, for your physical health, to burn those calories.
Yeah.
This kind of ticks them in one box for you, but I don't know that people quite get that. They don't quite
I think also the hard part about the transition from an unhealthy life to a healthy one is that there's that period of discomfort that you have to be aware of, like that you have to accept. It's kind of like when someone goes from, I mean, I've never been a smoker, but like when someone goes from, you know, smoking to then quitting smoking, it's like they talk about that period in between that just becomes so difficult because you're suddenly like, you're aware of like your lungs and how uncomfortable it feels. And same thing, alcohol to not drinking so much or not drinking at all. It's like, everything that you eat, for most of us in society, what we're doing is we're numbing, you know, and we can numb with food, we can numb with porn, we can numb with shopping, we can numb with, you know, whatever it is. And so, you know, when you have to suddenly decide to quit alcohol, for example, it's like all the shit that you were numbing, take a little break.
All right, guys, welcome back. So what happened was, we don't even know, but our SD card just
died,
shut itself. Yeah, it's told us it was full. It wasn't full. So this is why if anyone wants to dedicate their career to becoming our sound technician, send me an email with your resume and I'll peruse it. The other thing you'll notice, well, hopefully you don't notice. Hopefully I can fix it in post. Hopefully I can fix it. So when we first recorded, it was putting Shona out of the right ear and me out of the left, and it would have been bad on you guys. I hope we can fix that. We've now fixed it at this end. So
yeah, if we can't fix it, it's just like, it's like you're in the car with us, you know? And it's like, you got one person in the front, one person in the back.
It is like that. It's like real life.
Hashtag authentic.
Anyway,
I was talking about alcohol numbing people.
Yes, that's true.
I was saying we live in a society of numbing, and so I think that there's always going to be an uncomfortable period where, you know, it's a shitty period, and it's the period that most people quit something. So they either quit the life that was unhealthy for them, or they go back to the life that was unhealthy for them. You know what I mean? So I think that that's the part that people tend not to like. And so to bring it back to jiu-jitsu is, I think jiu-jitsu puts you in those uncomfortable positions that force your ego to deal with the discomfort of being a bit shit at something and being okay. And that's what I was saying is, we were talking about it before, is like, yeah, you can have the physical attributes, maybe the psychological aptitude to be quite good and figure something out, or you just have to be okay with getting beat up until you get better, you know, until you get both of those things.
But the other thing to consider is, one is, you're only competing against yourself. Like, you're trying to just be, I know it sounds super cheesy, but you're just trying to be a little bit better for yourself each day. I think what too many people do is they're like, I can't, you know, there's 3 other guys I can't beat. It's like, that's a good thing to want to beat them. But if it starts getting you down, you're looking at it the wrong way.
Totally.
You know, if you're still getting your fitness benefits and your mental health, like, that's all good. I think some people just kind of look at it the wrong way. But I wanted to switch gears slightly. So,
go.
I know there's a Shona Vertue online presence, which, you know, I just kind of know you as Shona, who I've met at the gym and trained with, but like apparently you're a bit of an Instagram star. I want to know how that happens. That's what I want to know. How do you become an Instagram star? Like, how do you go from Shona, who's, you know, clearly clever and good at sports and things like that, to someone with like 500,000 followers? Like, that's crazy. I've got about 700 people. I don't know why. Like, half of them, some of my family, I don't know why they even want to listen to me on Instagram. You've got 500,000 people. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. Like, that actually is interesting to me.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't tend to think too much about it. That's not true. That anyone that says that, any person that works on Instagram that's like, I don't really think about followers, that's not true, because obviously you are considering it to a degree.
They're your disciples.
Well,
your
I mean,
servants.
I definitely don't think of it like that, because I'm sure there's some hate follows too, and there's, you know, all different kinds going on. But yeah, I think, you know what, it's I think the formula, and again, this has changed. So like everything's always evolving, as we know. But when I had started Instagram, the formula was really like, what is the takeaway from someone engaging with your posts? And I try to stick to that formula to this day, because I hate that we spend so much time on our phones anyway. And I hate that I'm contributing to keeping the human race on their phone, because life exists outside of the phone.
Yeah.
And so my job as someone who works, you know, on Instagram is to try and keep you there. And that's why Instagram likes me, and that's why YouTube likes me, because I'm keeping people on the app.
So how does that work? Because that's an internal struggle, isn't it? Like,
it is soul destroying.
Because I often see you're saying, like, if you got time to scroll, you've got time to stretch. For instance, I think is something you say, which is, like all power to you. That's great.
Right.
But then at the same time, that actual post has to have them scrolling to
the
get
irony,
to it,
exactly.
Yeah.
The irony is that
It's
I'm
not
on
lost
Instagram
on you, right?
saying that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, you know, it is an internal struggle. It is. I don't really know how to get through past that. Sometimes it really demotivates me, and I actually think, I'm like, fuck, is this a really terrible job? But, you know, I'd rather, so this is the thing, is my I guess, how I justify it to myself is that whatever time and attention that people are giving me, I try to ensure that they're either being entertained or educated in some way, and hopefully both. ¿Por qué no las dos? I have to say that every time. Just means why not have both.
Okay.
It's a Taco Bell ad.
Oh. I don't really follow Taco Bell. We don't really have Taco Bell here much.
No, we had that. Sorry, it's not Taco Bell. It's Old El Paso. That was
Old
the
El
ad.
Paso.
Don't you remember? It's like the little girl, and she's like, ¿Por qué no las dos? They were fighting over whether to have like hard tacos or soft tacos.
Gotcha. I think I don't mind hard or soft tacos. I don't mind. Sometimes I have both.
I'm spitting in your ear.
Sometimes I have both. Yeah, well, look, I think people are gonna spend a lot of time on the internet anyway. I suppose you can try to be a positive influence. I suppose that's a, you know.
And not to sound really earnest.
That's a virtuous thing, Shona.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Fuck, so earnest, so virtuous. No, I don't want to sound earnest, because it's, you know, there's something to be said for it. There's actually a really good interview between Hugh Grant and, oh my gosh, who was in Bruges? Who's Colin Farrell? Colin Farrell? Fuck.
He's an Irish. Is he Irish?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to say that. So I think there's an interview between those two, and they're talking about, you know, as actors, they're coming in, and they can over intellectualize things and sort of be like, oh no, but I want to be there for the art of it, you know, and they want to choose scripts that are really like deeply human and really intellectual. And they have this conversation about the fact that there is something to be said for just entertaining movies. And I think there's something to be said for entertainment. It can take us out of our lives. It's a form of escapism, which sometimes can be really beneficial. It's just that we have to have self-regulation. Exactly. It can't be the only thing. And humans aren't great at self-regulation. We're not wired for that.
No.
Evolution, you know, if you came across a fig tree in the savannah, like, you're going to eat that whole fucking fig tree, because you know when you're going to come across it again. And so anything that we find tasty in our brain, in our action, anything, we're going to try and, you know, max that out. And so this is what's happening with social media, for sure. That wasn't your question at all. How do you become... How do you build an Instagram following?
This is it's not a... This is a conversation. This is what happens. Don't stress. It's not a... I'm not going to hold you to that. But
yes.
No, but that's an interesting thing. I mean, I think it's back to what we were talking about before. I often question, Jesus, I'm feeding my family teaching Jiu-Jitsu. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You're feeding your family with the use of Instagram. This thing that's just like an app. Like, what was it? 10 years ago,
The
it wasn't even a thing, was
the
it?
family of me, myself, and I.
And your pet spider
And
that lives under
Irene.
your bed or whatever it is.
El Jefe.
Yeah, how's that going? Have you killed that spider?
No, he's not going to get killed. We're coexisting peacefully.
So if you got like a little house spider that lives in the corner of the room, I'm okay with that. It's not the best thing, but I'm okay with it. Look, that fly wouldn't be if we had a spider, would he?
Exactly. That's what
I'm sure there's plenty of spiders in here, and they're just being lazy motherfuckers because I've seen
you say
spiders,
bad things about them.
I've seen spiders' webs
and you
everywhere.
try and kill them.
I'm forever cleaning them. This fly
is like
it's going to destroy our entire podcast. We'll bring Isaac over and catch it. He'd probably just catch it in one go with his
chopsticks.
Hands. Yeah, probably would.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would not coexist with a large hairy huntsman. You just got to kill it. You're just gonna, like I said, you get your thongs. Thongs are the best, thin thongs. So not like heavy sandal type thongs, thin ones. And when you hit him, you're going to kind of pull back a little bit like a whip, and it's going to kill him, but it's not going to splatter him because you don't have to then clean all his guts off the floor. So you're going to be like this, and it's going to kill him most of the way. He's going to be pretty killed, and then you put him in a dustpan.
Yeah.
And then you're going to put him outside or in the bin.
Okay.
Look, I think that's the...
I would just hate them if they were like beings that were bigger and cleverer than us, which they definitely are. If they thought of us in that way and tried to kill us like that, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't bother those. This asshole's living under your bed. He comes out and shows himself. He's shat on the floor. I wouldn't do that around those. If there was big beans that I knew could squash me with a thong, I'd stay right out of their way. So either he's too stupid to understand, which means you can kill him, or he's physically challenging you. Have you thought about that?
Well, he was, maybe. Maybe he was. Maybe he was.
If he was bigger, he'd eat you.
If he was bigger, he would eat me. That's true. He would try to eat me. That's true. But then
you
it would
need to use your size advantage.
Yeah, yeah.
Your intellect and your size advantage.
No, it's not going to happen. Maybe that's what I'm missing, is that aggression.
You don't have to have too much aggression for jiu-jitsu. I think you just got to... I don't wrestle with much aggression, but I definitely sometimes get frustrated. Like if I get tapped, I get frustrated. I'm like...
Yeah.
Because I know, like immediately I know what I did wrong, and I'm like, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen. Like, you know, when you get tapped as probably a white or blue belt, it's like, I got tapped, but I don't know how that happened. I'm not sure what. I know what led to that happening, and like, so I'm super annoyed at myself.
Fucking annoying.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
Yes,
I think it's at least if you don't know, you're like,
yeah. When I roll with you, I'm literally like, oh look, I'm getting choked.
Yeah,
Luke's on my back again. Okay,
but when you know, what happened and what you should have done to stop that happening.
Frustrating.
Yeah, and that's when it comes to timing as well. That's another thing we didn't talk about before, but you know, there's people who have just great timing. They just they understand the moves, they have the athleticism to do them, and then they have the timing to pull the trigger at the right times to do it. That, you know, that's another big factor as well. So you've got a YouTube channel too.
I have a YouTube channel too.
Yeah, cool. What's the go? YouTube and Instagram kind of coexist? Like, do you see them as two separate things, or do you see them as I
see them as two separate things.
Yeah,
because you're using them very differently, you know. And Instagram is trying to move into the space that YouTube had, which is like by allowing the app to have long form content, you know, like IGTV and things like that. But it'll never be what YouTube is in terms of the way that you use YouTube. People will go on and watch shows, they'll watch series, they subscribe to like people's vlogs and things like that. And it's, you know, people will spend long periods of time. You can put it on your TV, you can watch it, you know. I mean, I know that's how people consume that content. Whereas Instagram's still on a small phone. It's still within this tiny app, you know. So it's more like snacks, and then YouTube is sort of more like your meals. So, you know, the stuff that I put on YouTube is like long yoga classes or long fitness classes, and it's all in real time. So you do it with me. Whereas, on Instagram, I have a few of those, but I don't really like. I wouldn't want to watch a whole jiu-jitsu session like on a.
I think that the analogy of snacks and meals is quite good there. Yeah. I think they've both got a separate role to play.
Totally. So I think, for me, the thing that's interesting these days, I mean, as you'd asked me, it was like, what was the formula for sort of developing it? I mean, there's different formulas, but I think
I suppose everybody listening probably was like, oh, I'd love to just make money off Instagram, but I'm sure there's
Yeah.
this is like that iceberg thing we talked about before. It's
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
a whole lot to get to that.
There's a whole lot to get to that. And
To
I
that
just
point.
started by sharing little bits of information. So sharing what I was sharing with my clients, as a trainer and as a yoga teacher. And then it just kind of expanded to the point where I found myself more busy in terms of, collaboration with brands and having my own program, and using Instagram now is really just the platform through which I'm able to sell information about my program. And
Because you got a website too.
Because I have a website.
What's your website?
It's just shonavertue.com. And then that people can subscribe. Not subscribe. It's actually not a subscription model. It's a membership model. It's just, you just buy one-off things. Kind of like, when you buy your one-off DVDs or whatever.
Yep.
Jiu-Jitsu DVDs. It's like that. And then you own it for life. So.
Okay, so people kind of download the content, or they can watch it through. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
And that's yoga stuff. It's fitness stuff.
It's fitness. So it's weight training at home. It's yoga, meditation, mobility. Yeah.
And who's your market? Like, is it women between 20 and 40? Is it like dudes? What's the...
Yeah, so I actually I'm really proud of this split, actually. I've got an 80-20 split, 80% women, 20% men. I'm proud of that split because it's like...
Does that mean you hate men, Shona?
No, I
think that means you hate men.
That I've tried as my hardest to not make my Instagram thirsty. It's like I've tried to make sure that, I want to reach out to women.
Shona, I'm an old man. What is thirsty mean?
I saw your eyes glaze over then. I was like, does he know what thirsty means?
What does that mean? Thirsty.
I don't know how to define it.
Is that like chicks? Is that like chicks in bikinis on there? Like, they thirsty?
You know what? And like more power to them. For a long time, it was hard for women to make money and be independent. So I'm all for that stuff.
Hey, if I could make money in bikinis on
Wouldn't
Instagram,
you?
I'd do it 100%.
Exactly. 100%. Like, that's the thing. If men could do it, they would. Just that it's just not happening. No. It's the same with like OnlyFans. You know what OnlyFans is? No, you don't. All right, let's not even talk about OnlyFans.
Is that only porn, or is it like, do they only do sexual stuff? Or?
No. There was a girl who was actually recently in the newspaper. She's an influencer, so she has just a big following on Instagram. And she was, it's quite funny. She was criticized for putting something like she was going to put like, whether it was like her birth on OnlyFans, or it was going to be like the sex of the baby reveal or something like that, because that's how like famous she is. She was just able to charge people for that
to
sort
watch
of thing.
that.
Yeah. But the exploitation potential on something like that is kind of disgustingly high. And we have to kind of go, okay, sure, it's one thing to exploit yourself, but then this is the debate, is like the baby stuff and the children stuff, they have no choice.
But I mean, that's like people that are just making money off child stars. I mean, where do you draw the line?
Well, exactly. And there's some pretty dodgy scenarios out there. Okay, the Urban Dictionary thirsty. It doesn't really give you... It says a synonym for horny, but I don't think that's a very good definition. An adjective used in describing a person deliberately fishing for compliments, attention. That's another good one. Yeah.
They're thirsty.
When you're thirsty, it's like...
They're thirsty for attention, but they're thirsty for sexual attention.
It's usually of a romantic nature.
Okay.
So there you go.
I'll add that to my... I'll use it tonight with my young...
Can you please?
With my young students.
Use it in a sentence tonight in the class.
Yeah,
I want to see everyone
come up with a creative way to do that. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, so thirsty, that's what it is. So it's fishing for,
Okay, so you didn't want you're happy with the 80-20 split.
Well, yeah, because also I think that, if you go down that path, yes, of course you can grow a following, but if it's just dudes, like how many of those dudes are going to buy my fitness program? Probably none, right? So I want to actually reach women, not just to sell to them, but actually to build a community.
Yeah, they're the people you want to help out.
They're the people I want to help.
Yep.
Then I created the mobility program, and I find that actually like loads of BJJ people love it. And so that's where I guess the guys come from. And I have so many questions. Like we were having this conversation. I was like, should I be offended? I don't really get thirsty DMs. Like I don't really get the harassing. I don't get dick pics. I don't get any of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, I thought that would be just a regular.
I think, I feel like, am I missing
You've got 500,000 followers. You'd think there'd be a...
I know.
Even just so...
This is not me fishing for a dick pic, by the way.
Here they come.
I know.
Here they come. Yeah, they're being taken as people are watching this now. So what's 1% of 500,000 is that 50,000? Am I doing my numbers right? Or was it 5,000?
What? 1%?
Yeah, 1%. 1%'s 5,000.
Yeah.
10%'s 50. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So that means if there's just 1% of creeps on there, that's 5,000 people. You'd think you'd be getting a reasonably steady stream of dick pics. At least a few. But
no, I get lots of mobility questions.
cool. Well, that's good.
Yeah, so it's
That's
good.
good.
So exactly. So it's good.
I mean that's
That's where I want to be.
Gross thing anyway. Like it's pretty creepy to just send people. That's not
pics of your genitalia.
Yeah, if it's someone that you've got a relationship with, hey, you guys do whatever you want. But send it to random people. It's the same. I mean, this is the thing with the internet, right? People act like fucking animals on there. People say things to people they would never say. Like, would that same dude go and get his dick out to some hot chick at the beach? Probably not. I mean, if he would, he's got other issues. But most people probably wouldn't. But they would send something like that. It's weird, the things that are accepted.
Because there's no consequence.
No, there's not.
There's no consequence. And when there's no consequence, we're able to get away with so much more. And then suddenly, and this is where it's like shifting whole humanity psyche.
Yeah.
Because if you think about those neurons firing every single day where people feel like there's no consequence, but then they also, the other side of that, are developing like mega social anxiety where they can't even interact with humans. Like, and this is some of the things that I worry about, like young kids. How are they developing social skills that are completely imperative for human interaction? And again, we have to acknowledge that, our nervous system, our psyche, everything evolved a very long time ago, and it doesn't just change.
Yeah, I think the baby Jesus made the world about 4,000 years ago. Is that right, Christians? 4,000? How long did the baby Jesus?
I don't know. What are we in?
10,000 years ago.
What are we in AD? Yeah.
I think a lot of there's a reasonable amount of Christians believe the world was created about 10,000 years ago.
Is that it?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't prescribe to it, but I think that's...
Yeah. But no, wait, baby Jesus didn't make the world because he was in the world when he was born.
Look, there's a lot of holes in the story.
There's holes in your story.
There's holes in the story. Have you talked to somebody about this before? Have you had this conversation with people?
No, I haven't.
You should. It's interesting. But it's not a winning... There's no... when you have not a conversation, you're not trying to win a conversation, but you have a differing point of view.
Yeah.
You tell me this table's white and I tell you I think it's brown. We can probably have a pretty hearty debate about trying to convince each other of why we think each thing.
Yes.
That doesn't go. It doesn't with religion. That doesn't.
Yeah.
Neither person changes their. Very rarely do you finish your debate with someone and they, you know what, fuck the baby Jesus. I'm getting on board with the stuff. It's just, unfortunately, it's just something that doesn't really change up. So the holes, there's some holes, but I'm pretty sure the baby Jesus made the world 10,000 years ago.
That's not the story. I'm pretty sure God made the world, then baby Jesus.
Isn't the baby Jesus God?
I think he's the son of God.
Yeah, but I think he's also God.
Oh, fuck. I don't know.
Who's God?
He died for our sins. Like, I just know the key lines. I don't know enough. I'm sorry.
Did you go to a Catholic school?
No. I went to performing arts high school, like unisex, like many gay people. It was very liberal, very, very liberal. In fact, we had Christian classes, and one of the boys had said, and this is like now used, I hear this in stand-up comedy all the time, but I remember sitting in this class, and I don't know whether he'd gotten it from some other stand-up comedian. There was a boy, I think his name was Angus, and he was in 2 years above me, and I remember sitting in this, like, we all had to do this like one Christian class. And we're all sat there, and there's like, I've got my gay friend next to me, my lesbian friend next to me. Like, it's just so, we're all just sitting there going, okay. And Angus says, can I ask a question? He's like,
because I don't think the baby Jesus likes homosexuality. I think that's the...
No, the Bible disapproves of it. Yeah. So he said, is it true that the Bible disapproves of like men having sex with each other? Or anal sex, I think he said. And this Christian teacher said, well, yes, like knowing his audience was like, yes, the Bible does disapprove of this. And he was like, well, then why did God put a G-spot inside the male rectum? Or wherever it is, somewhere up there. And
I haven't found mine,
answer. But yeah. Sounds like you're missing out. But that was the question.
And he couldn't answer. He just
couldn't, and everyone's obviously like laughing.
Because there's some holes.
So there's some holes.
There's some holes in this story, in more ways than one. But people that hey, all power to you if you're basing your life on that. If it doesn't affect me and you're being a good person,
then it's fine.
It's fine.
It's like a guitar sound.
Yeah, it is like a guitar sound.
Yes. How the fuck did we get onto that? That was a big digression. to get to male.
Yeah, but anyway, like we were
G-spots.
talking about like kids and we're talking about the age of the earth, and you were talking about the fact that we've, our mind has grown over a very long period of time.
Yes,
And,
evolution. That's
but
right.
we've added this very recently.
Right.
I think it's toxic for young people. I think it's toxic for most people. I think it's toxic for idiots. And I think it's very toxic for young people.
Yeah.
They just don't have the tools to deal with it.
Agreed.
There's too much. There's just too much access to too many different things. Like, I hate the idea of my children going anywhere near, not even just social media. I mean, it's just the internet in general. There's just everything. I know this sounds like a really old person thing to say, but we see it. Like, you see it all the time. Imagine, like when you and I went to school, if you didn't get along with someone, you go home at the end of the day and whatever, you wouldn't see that person till tomorrow. It wasn't the end of the world. There'd be no escaping that for people nowadays. If you were a kid that was an outcast, there would be no release of that. Because if they're not on the social media, I suppose they're more of an outcast. If they are on it, they'd have everyone harassing them. I hate to think on, because like we know that, when your brain's young, you're a fucking idiot. Like you think but you're not. Like we've probably all done horrible things that you'd look back and go, Jesus, I wouldn't do that now.
And it lives there forever.
It's just young, but yeah, I mean, I think they're like the amount of young people that are killing themselves is like higher than ever before, just due to all this stuff. I don't know what to do as a parent to get around it. Like it's such a good thing. Like if it wasn't for social media and our access to everybody, I mean, there's so much information being passed around, but it's all the extra rubbish. Like you need to cut all the fat off and just get to the
good stuff. Use it
the
as
fact
a
that
tool.
the fact that I can pick the brain of John Danaher living in New York by seeing his posts. I never had access to that 10 years ago. But then you could also spend an hour watching videos of people jumping into pools and hitting the edge of it or something like that. Like
it's very niche. Yes,
I think that's a fair bit of the internet, but one doesn't really educate me or advance me a whole lot.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so then again, is it just going to progress human demise at an exponential rate, while at the same time progressing human evolution at an exponential rate too? Like perhaps we're just going to get this extreme division and this duality of like expansion in one direction, expansion in the other.
So there's the idiots and the rest of us.
Yeah, and it just grows more and more extreme.
Okay. Hey, like I said before, if we're all running the race and the rest of them are back behind me, it's...
Yeah, and maybe they look at us and think that we're idiots and that they're...
I am an idiot. I think there's a good chance of that. Look,
we're all just different kinds of idiots.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Isn't it? I think that's a great line.
All right. Look, I think we could sit here and talk for hours, but we've actually got kids classes starting here. We're at the gym here at Sydney West Martial Arts, so we've got kids classes starting in about an hour. But if they filter in early, the place is complete mayhem. So thanks so much for chatting to me today. I feel like we covered a few different things, but I hope people enjoy hearing from you. If they want to follow you more or hear more from you, can you let us know? Like, what are the avenues?
Yeah, probably Instagram's probably the easiest. Just Shona_Vertue, Vertue. And then YouTube. Check me out on YouTube. Check out my website. Yeah.
And if you're
a girl, come roll at Sydney West, please.
Definitely.
We need some more girls in here.
Yeah,
that's a song.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not up to that.
All right.
All right. Thanks, mate. Good job.
Bye.
We'll end it there.
Yeah.
Thank you.